entertainment, insights. Don't take life too seriously. Welcome to Brainski Unleashed. Hello, Brainski Unleashed fans, and welcome to yet another incredible episode of Brainski Unleashed, the only podcast you should be subscribing to. And yes, that means you need to hit that little subscribe button, and don't forget to leave absolutely positive feedback, no less than 5 stars. Again, subscribe, review, 5 stars. Come on, this is why I do this. I do this for your love and your listenership. Okay, so we're joined today by Tom Paladino. Now, he has something that I would consider to be very, very different. This is not your normal business podcast by any stretch of the imagination. He does light healing, and this is not even light healing in terms of people who would normally say, well, I heal with light, the light of the Lord and all of this. It's a physical light, but it's also using energy, and man, this just doesn't make any freaking sense to me at all. So I'm going to come at it from the standpoint of, teach me something. What the heck is this?
Thanks for the invite, Thomas. What are we speaking about? This is a new technology. It's scalar light, scalar energy. It's not electricity. I work with energy instruments behind me to deliver that light. So the light, the energy, performs a function. And I think that eventually, those of you who are business-minded, you'll see that the business world will, if you will, grasp onto this and see the potential here, the great, if you will, economic potential in this new industry.
Okay. I mean, now you've really got me intrigued, because initially I'm thinking, hey, I got some fat to lose, or, maybe I need to, lower the blood pressure or some other random things. But
Yep.
you're also talking about a business format. So let's go with the health first. And then I definitely want to transition to understanding what you mean by making money with it. So how can this
Okay.
thing help people? What can it do for people?
All right. So the function of this instrument is a scalar dimension. It's a new branch of physics. It's not electromagnetic. And when I'm working with these instruments, I work with instruments that can pick out a disease, identify a disease pattern on a person's photograph. A person's photograph represents their template. And then if I can identify a disease signature, I can nullify it. So we're not working at a chemical level. We're working at a higher level, an informational level, in which we can ascertain, identify a disease, and eradicate it, remove it, nullify it.
To be clear,
Yes.
you are talking about taking an image,
Yes. Of a
and
person.
eradicating a disease from a person using an image of the person without the person being physically there.
That's correct. Now, I can prove my work by identifying the disease on the photograph, because the photograph serves as a bilocated version of a person. So I never work with people. The new science, we're working with the information field. It's not a biological process, it's an informational process in which we only have to access the photograph, because the photograph is the person's information field, not their biological field. So the new science will allow us to work with disease at an informational level, not at a biological level.
Okay. I'm going to ask, how many people tell you you're crazy?
I've heard that before. But keep in mind, if I follow the laws of science, that's true. That's absolute truth. And that's what I'm doing.
Well, I mean, it
I
was
have
Fauci that said follow the science. We all know how that worked out. So, doors open.
Yeah. No, I get it. There were a lot of mistakes during the pandemic, but they were not using energy instruments. I am.
Okay.
And the distinction is energy is fundamental. Energy follows the laws of science. Man makes many mistakes. Man does not follow the laws of science.
Oh, no, man definitely doesn't. We like to think we do, but we have an honesty problem. So,
Yeah.
okay, then hypothetically speaking, you've got a picture of me, and I have not said to you that I suffer from high blood pressure. All right.
Mm-hmm.
How would your instruments somehow fix me? Because that makes no sense whatsoever. And I guarantee you, anyone that's listening to this is going, what?
Mm-hmm. But let me start with this analogy. Let's say you're an architect and you want to build something. First, you start with architectural plans. You have a blueprint, a template. Well, in lieu of a physical person, I work with their template. I work with their, if you will, architectural plans. So if I can correct the architectural plans, the template, the blueprint, then I surmise that we'll have a favorable outcome. Now, I cannot prove that favorable outcome. I have to rely upon testimonies. To be clear to your audience, there is no way to prove this work. My work is groundbreaking, so I only can prove my work by way of a photograph. I have to allow people to submit their testimony for me to prove, or for them to prove to themselves that they feel better.
Okay. So give me an example then. Three examples. I mean, you don't have to go too
Yep.
deep, but three examples of people sent you pictures, you didn't know anything about them, or maybe you knew a little something, and then they give you a
Correct.
testimonial because X happened.
Yeah. A couple months ago, uh, people sent me a photograph of their dog. Their dog had a tumor. And I simply placed the photograph of the dog inside the instrument. And once again, the instrument can pick out a disease signature, a cancer signature in this case, on the photograph of a dog. And after 2 months of sessions, the people report to me, and I've never met the people or the dog, the people report that the tumor has disappeared and healthy skin has reappeared. So that's anecdotal, but nonetheless, it's quite encouraging. Working through the informational plane. That's one example.
Okay, give me
An,
another.
Another example, people will who suffer from herpes will ask me, Tom, please help me. I have herpes. So it's my contention, it's my theory that I can pinpoint, I can identify the herpes signature. It's a disease signature on a photograph. And I can send energy into the information field to nullify, to negate the disease signature of herpes. Now, after I work with people, people say, Tom, I feel better. I see my herpes symptoms have diminished, and many people go on to have a PCR test conducted, and their PCR tests are invariably undetectable, no viral load. So that's another indication that we're having good success working through the informational field.
Are you saying though that you can take a picture of someone's face,
Hmm.
not their genitals? If their genitals
Correct.
could be covered with a scorching case of herpes, the picture
Hmm.
itself of their face can pick that up, and
That's correct.
the instrument can heal the schwanz.
On the photograph, my photograph of my face still reports my entire constitution, soul, mind, and body. So if I had the herpes virus, it would appear as a signal, as a signature on my photograph. And then I nullify the signature on the photograph.
Okay.
Now, I can only prove my work because I only work with photographs. I can prove that I can eradicate or nullify the herpes signature on the photograph. I have to rely upon people as to their testimony if they feel better in person.
Are these people getting any other treatments outside of yours?
No, many people simply come to me and they say, we've heard great success stories. They read my testimonies. So they simply submit their photograph and they say, go ahead, perform the function on the photograph.
All right. So give me a third example.
Another example, many people come to me, they say they have arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis. We recently worked with a person that had rheumatoid arthritis for years. Again, we're able to identify the signature of rheumatoid arthritis in the information field. I never work with people, flesh and blood. And if I can negate the signature of rheumatoid arthritis, the symptoms abate. And that's what happened with this individual. They no longer have any pain, any discomfort.
How many people work with you and report back that it doesn't work?
It's hard to say because we have so many different people who they don't necessarily want to share their information to me publicly. I will say most of the people that we work with have a favorable outcome, but that doesn't say that some of the people who had uh, that had no experience, no favorable experience, many of them are reticent to say anything. They want their medical information or their private lives to be private. So it's hard for me to answer that question. It's a good
Okay.
question.
Okay. Um, I mean, this is definitely very, very unique as far as topic.
Yes, of course.
Does the person have to have the right state of mind for this to happen? And I guess I'm putting that in a very gentle way.
Yeah, you can be blunt. No, and I'll tell you why. Because many times I work with animals. I've worked with kangaroos in Australia, and I've had great outcomes with kangaroos in Australia. I've never been to Australia, and I've never met a kangaroo. But when people send me photographs of kangaroos, I have a favorable outcome. So you have to consider that there's no placebo effect. I don't think so with a kangaroo in Australia.
So I think maybe could you just, I know that you don't want to give up the secret sauce, but
Yeah. Here's the secret,
yeah,
Thomas. Here's the secret.
yeah,
This is the energy of the sun and the stars. Scalar energy is not electricity. This instrument is so strong, if I hold a light bulb in my hand, it will illuminate it. So that's a sign that there's energy coming off of that instrument. Now, really quickly, if I place my photograph inside the instrument, that's the signal that's sent into my photograph. Now, by way of analogy, if we can have this discussion through a video call,
sure.
then I can likewise have a discussion, or if you will, have a favorable event upon a person's photograph. Scalar science is not electricity. This science proves that a person's energy field can be imparted upon a photograph or a drop of blood. So I never work with people. I work with their photograph that has their information field, their force field attached to it.
Okay, so being a skeptic, but not a closed-minded skeptic, mind you, but being a skeptic, in my mind, I'm thinking as we're having this discussion, you know, what would an average born again Christian, for example, say to something like this?
Mm.
Because
Well,
this is
I'm a
outside of the line of normal beliefs for them of faith, albeit this sort of does align with a belief system of that which you cannot see. So where does that
correct.
fit in?
I'm a Christian. I will speak for myself. This is the light of Christ. If Christ is the light of the world, then what type of light is that? Well, it's the light of the sun and the stars. My contention is scalar light. Scalar light is the divine light, and I'm working with the divine light.
That's powerful.
No,
Okay, so let's shift
thank
to
you.
business a little bit.
Hmm.
How do you do the voodoo that you do so well?
I follow the laws of science. See, there's no human reasoning to this process. This is a technical instrument. I have a technical process. I follow the laws of science. Energy, light follows the laws of science. There's no room for human error. There's no room for human conjecture. A photograph is a source of light. Light is energy. It's a source of light. This instrument imparts light, which is fundamental upon a source of light. No room for human error. That's why it works.
I mean,
I work with the laws of science.
to me, it's fascinating. I mean, when I want to try, yeah, I'm quite tempted. It's like, can you help a guy who's got plantar fasciitis? Get rid of that from a photograph of my face, which has nothing to do with my foot, which drives me crazy half the time.
Yeah, I get it. But once again, a photograph of a person's face is their entire
Right,
being.
right.
It's their force field. Whether it's my hand photograph or a photograph of the face, it's a force field. So you cannot think of this in biological terms. A face is a face, a hand is a hand. A force field is the entire aura of the person.
The presentation of their light,
Yes,
right, which
exactly.
happens to be contained on a piece of paper, but even on a piece of paper, there is light, there is dark, there is form,
Correct.
there is form.
Right.
If it's all
If I
dark, there is no form.
Yes, if I'm looking at you right now through this video call, I see you in my computer.
Right.
I can recognize you in the computer. Well, God can recognize a person by way of a photograph.
Okay. Modern day healer.
I don't consider myself a healer. I consider Jesus Christ as the healer. I'm not a
Well
healer.
played.
I'm a researcher.
Okay. Well played. Okay. So, how would a business be able to monetize said healing?
Okay, so now we segue into the what we look at this economic
Yeah.
order. This is free energy. I'm going to demonstrate once again. If I hold a light bulb in my hand, I can power it. This is the new power of the universe, so to speak. This is the new power that we're going to utilize. Free energy. This is the energy of the stars. It's unlimited energy. What do I foresee? I see a new military industrial complex that doesn't use electricity anymore. I see a new industrial complex that just uses energy from the
I
stars.
just want to power
This
my
is
car when we're
free
paying for
energy.
gas.
This is free energy. Actually, Tesla had a car that worked on star power.
Right.
He was able to power his car with scalar energy, what he called radiant energy. This is free energy. Without equivocation to your audience, This technology will change the world. This is a free energy paradigm.
I get that, right? And I understand the Tesla analogy, and I understand what business and government does with people that provide free energy. That never usually works out well because they try and block it because they like pay energy. Pay energy is how people make money. So how do you harness the free energy and charge for it? Which then leads me to ask, how would one make money doing this?
Eventually, we're going to see how scalar energy will replace other forms of invention, technology, etc. This will be in vogue. This will be people will yearn for this. So it's a process. It's going to take time, sure.
If I as an investor or I as a business person goes, I want to power my X on scalar. I want to charge my phone on scalar.
Exactly. The instruments are unique. I don't know of any other inventors, any other theorists besides myself right now that are presenting this to the public. If this is being done, then it's sub rosa.
So then why aren't you? What other uses have you been able to come up with where you can power devices or power a process or
No,
power a machine or
yeah,
power something with this energy?
not yet.
Oh,
Not yet. I'm working on that. Right now, I'm working with quantum health, informational health through the force field of a photograph. I hope to, in the next 3 to 4 years, to be able to demonstrate that this energy can be used to illuminate an object at a distance. And if that's the case, then we're on the road to power generation. So right now, it's still a theoretical.
okay. Yet you have been able to power the light bulb behind you.
That's correct.
Now that
That's
is a
correct.
fluorescent light bulb. Yes? Okay.
Right.
So it would not necessarily power an incandescent light bulb?
Sometimes I can in some cases, but usually not. Usually it's the when I can excite the gas inside a fluorescent tube.
Okay, so fluorescent makes sense because there's gases that get excited with energy,
Correct.
right?
That's
Similar to
that's
the
right.
way electricity works with a fluorescent bulb, which by the way, I'm not an
Yes.
electrician, so anyone that's out there, don't come down on me if I'm getting things wrong here, please. But it would not also then would it also power a device that is LED driven?
Eventually, yes. Eventually, yes. This is what I envision. Whatever we can do with electricity, we'll be able to do with scalar at a fraction of the cost without pollution. And keep in mind that this energy, there's no side effect. See, it's non-physical, so there's no physical constraint, nor is there any physical damage to the body. There cannot be any harm. It's intelligence. I want to make that clear. I'm not working with the stream or the movement of electrons. No, everything is non-physical.
So I guess, and this is more of a question that you've got to dig into yourself as being spearheading the invention itself is how do you take this energy and convert it to power? Because power and energy are not two of the same things. Yes,
No, you're right. You have to perform the work function of energy to have power.
correct.
So how do I put this into motion? Well, that's with different types of instrumentation. I'm always experimenting. I'm working on a new process where we can take this energy from this instrument and broadcast it 1 million miles away to illuminate an object. If I can do that, I'll let you know.
I mean, man, you do that, you are literally changing the world. You are that guy that changes the world,
Yeah.
and that means that I got to interview that guy. So you need to hurry up.
it This is a free energy device. Behind me is a miniature star, and when God gives me the wisdom and I can illuminate a building at a distance, the world will know. You'll see this, and this will be the beginning introduction of free energy to mankind. Free energy will liberate humanity. Free energy will liberate the world.
Well, I agree with you there because that the lack of energy has a tendency of holding people back. So that one makes sense.
Exactly.
And so to just kind of wrap things up, what you're essentially talking about today, and I thank you for joining my podcast because to me this is actually one of the most fascinating topics I've ever covered. Is an ability to heal people
Hmm.
using the power of scalar energy.
Hmm.
And if it does indeed work, then I
Hmm.
don't necessarily know why people wouldn't try it aside from either a complete and total lack of monetary funding to do so or fear. What is it that some people, when you talk to them, and I mean, I guarantee because this is so off the charts. What is it
Yes, it
that you
is.
normally hear when people go, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, I'm out." Like, what do you normally
Yeah.
hear and why?
Oh, okay. And to overcome that obstacle, our website, we give away 15 days of free sessions. Nobody has ever accomplished this, with the exception of my predecessor, a man by the name of Galen Hieronymus. So why don't we just cut to the chase? So I offer 15 days of free sessions to the world, and people take me up on it. They send me their photograph.
Okay.
And then I have to rely upon their testimony because nobody can prove the connection between a photograph and a person. I can't. And frankly, you cannot prove that by way of electromagnetic theory. That's an aside. But to cut to the chase, after the 15-day program, people feel better. And that's what counts.
So
That's the proof.
that was 1-5 or 50?
One
What?
five, 15,
So
15.
15 days. So if anyone who's a listener of my program wants to look you up, and that's
Mm-hmm.
scalarlight.com.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
We have that long-standing agreement on our website. Anybody in the world can send us their photograph. We'll work with you for free and your pets and family members.
Okay. So if any one of my listeners, because anyone who listens to my show is obviously one of the best people on earth, let's be honest. Love you guys. Um, then you will essentially be able to start working on their healing. But keep in mind, people, he doesn't know if it's working unless you communicate back.
That's correct.
So if this does work, I would love to do an experiment with my audience if y'all are willing to try it. And that's to give
Mm-hmm.
this a shot and report back to me and him if it works. I would love to know if this works. Because if there are ailments out there that can be healed using this energy, then why wouldn't you want to try? Especially if it doesn't work at all, there's absolutely no harm at all, correct?
Exactly. Why? Because it's non-physical intelligence. We're working at a different realm, people. I know most people are akin to the electromagnetic spectrum. This is not electromagnetic. I'm saying that there's two realities. Scalar reality is a new reality. We don't recognize it yet. Academia certainly does not recognize it.
Okay, so I'm going to ask for the what's the catch here? Is there
No
no
catch.
catch?
No catch.
No catch.
Why? Because Thomas, it works. Okay, or according to the 3,000 testimonies on my website, it works. So if I'm working with the laws of science, then I can always depend upon those laws performing a function. That's the key. There's no human intervention here. There's no human reasoning. It's a energy instrument. The energy, scalar energy, does all the work.
So I decide I'm going to participate in this, right? And I go, you know what? I'm going to send my picture. Do I tell you the things that are wrong with me?
No, because this is not a biological process. I'm not, to be clear to your audience, I'm not in the medical field. This has nothing to do with medicine. This is a new science in which we're working with photographic force fields. There's no medical school that studies scalar energy force fields.
So
It's a new science.
anyone with skin or abnormalities,
Mm-hmm.
herpes, um,
Mm-hmm.
plantar fasciitis, sinus issue, a- anything at all, there may be a possibility that just simply sending this photo will lead to a health benefit.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. That's correct. Because the energy is informational. The energy is corrective. And there's, again, no human reasoning.
How do more people not know about this?
Well, I don't know. After you look at my website and you see so many testimonies from people around the world, according to people now, I can't prove this, but the testimonies are speaking volumes of my work. Why people tell me they no longer have a viral load for herpes, I don't know. But it's so new, it's so cutting edge that it takes a while to educate people and for people to grasp onto this.
I mean, good for them for at least coming out and saying, "Hey, by the way, this is who I am. I had herpes." I don't necessarily know a lot of people who do that. But God bless.
That's a good no that you're that's a very good point, and I tell them just submit it to us in an anonymous fashion.
Yeah.
I don't want to know your name.
Right.
It's none of my business.
Okay. All right. So how then would the process begin if people wanted to do at least the 15-day, let's see if this makes a difference trial? What's involved? How does it work?
The website, scalarlight.com, SCALAR. Scalarlight.
SCALAR, SCALAR, light, scalar light, SCALAR, light.com. Okay.
There you go. Visit the website, and anybody in the world is entitled to those 15 days of free session. You simply upload, email us your photograph,
Email.
include your family members. That's it.
Not even a physical. You will create the physical out of the digital.
That's correct. That's correct. I actually, at the end of the day, I actually print out all of the photographs. That's correct.
So,
And at the end of the day, I could easily receive 1,000, 2,000 photographs a day, and I print them out, and I place the photograph inside the scalar energy instrument. And once the photograph is inside that instrument, it's enjoying a scalar environment, which has nothing to do with electricity or magnetism.
so to be clear with my audience, what this gentleman, what Tom is saying is that he is offering potential healing for whatever it is that ails you.
Yep.
At no charge for 15 days, where he does all the work. He actually prints it out on his paper, meaning that he actually bears a cost where you have borne no cost.
That's right. That's a good point.
Only for you to possibly feel some sense of healing. And if you do, then you can pay him for extended use. That's basically what you're getting at, correct?
That's it. Why? Because I'm confident. I'm working along the laws of science, and I allow the laws of science to prove my point. I don't have to go about this and to have great oratorical skill. The energy does the work. Why be loquacious? Just let's cut to the chase. Watch what happens.
Wow. I mean, you just broke out a big word right there. Good for you. Okay. So with that, we're going to wrap things up. I highly encourage my audience once again to try it. If you're interested, you have nothing to lose. I would love to get the feedback of anyone who's doing this. I may be doing it myself. I have a perfect photo that I'm probably going to send over after this is recorded. Because I'm quite curious to see what this is all about. And why not, right? Go to scalarlight.com. That is scalar, SCALAR light.com. Check it out. We're also going to put a link to the website wherever you're listening to this or watching this, be it YouTube or any of the podcast resources. And Tom, I thank you so much for joining the program. Is there any last bit of wisdom, anything else that you want to say before we close out?
Scalar light technology will change the world. Watch what happens in the next 5 to 10 years. This technology will change the course of history.
All right. And so I'm going to try it myself, ladies and gentlemen, and I will figure out whether this is crazy or crazy cool. Thanks so much for joining us.